an odd one for me. Not normally something I discuss on YouTube or anywhere, but it's sort of like the tools behind photography. So a lot of people will know what this is. This is a Tether Tools tethering cable. You will have seen it in sort of videos, possibly, of like what's in my bag. I'm going to be honest, this has been an absolute nightmare for me. I have had a lot of issues with this, and it basically ended up becoming a really long phone charger. Mainly because I couldn't get it to consistently tether on my computer, and I spent a lot of time dealing with Canon. So I sent my camera into Canon. I went to Apple to get my laptop looked at. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't go to Apple for that reason. I had other stuff that needed to be looked at, so it was sort of an all-encompassing thing. I was in contact with Capture One and doing like support with them. And you know what? I probably should have gone and spoken to the cable company, but in my head it was a cable and it shouldn't have been a problem. Like, the cable shouldn't have been, it's a cable. It gets data from A to B. Turns out, I think it's the cable. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I've got a brand spanking lovely new one, but it was the customer service that really hit me and I was really impressed by it. And the reason I'm doing this video is A, the customer service, the support, all that. So I was at the photography show the weekend just gone, and I had one purchase that I'd planned to make, and the only purchase I planned to make was a tethering cable for a competitor brand that other people had told me to go for. Because Tether Tools, apparently some issues had happened when the change went over from USB-C. So instead of being the old type, I don't actually have anything old type, but the old USB that everyone knows at the end, to USB-C, issues happened. So I was walking around the show and saw the Tether Tools stand. There were some reps there. Spoke to a lovely rep. I don't want to name them because it's not fair on them if they didn't know a video was being made about them, but their customer service was absolutely amazing. The two people that were there were so brilliant. I didn't have the cable with me, but I had my laptop, I had my camera. So what they discussed with me, they said basically, as I've said to other people before, USB-C is this really weird thing, and I know people want everything to be USB-C, but USB-C is just the hole at the end. Like, this is USB-C, but what connectors are used inside are the standards. So you've got like USB-C, USB Gen 3 and Gen 4 and Thunderbolt all come through the same hole, same plug. So I know from experience, for example, that my Nintendo Switch charger will charge my phone and my iPad, but it won't charge my friend's Samsung case. Or my Rotolite batteries, I can charge with my Switch one, but I can't change with my Apple chargers. And it doesn't matter what voltage I use, whether it's the plug that's meant for the phone or the larger plugs. And it's the same as I haven't tried it. I don't think this will work actually because of something I'm telling you in a second. But I've tried, for example, this big, beefy, chunky cable, and it won't charge my camera, but a Switch charger will. So USB-C is a bit of a nightmare for that because it depends what cables are being used. So I remember a few years ago, there was a Google rep or someone who worked for Google in some kind of tech department, and they were reviewing cables on Amazon as to which ones would work with Pixel devices, which ones would charge them properly, because they were getting lots of complaints. So USB-C is great and USB-C is amazing, but USB-C does have its downsides. And that's one of the big ones, which is why I only really charge my phone. Actually, I do charge with this, so I break some rules. But I only charge my phone and my iPad with Apple cables because I know that if anything breaks, I go to Apple and say, this broke, you fix it. Rather than if they say, oh, was it used with a third party? Then, they won't. Actually, and here's a quick visual I can do. So let me just check this in frame. Okay, this is. So you see this hard drive here, and it's got this lovely, colourful RGB, right? So that is plugged in with the cable that came with it. It's a Western Digital black cable. Now, if I get this USB-C cable that is also plugged into my laptop and unplug that, but plug this in, and it's plugged into the laptop. You see it's like resistance, it's plugged in. The lights won't come on. However, the cable it's still recognised on my computer. I can still transfer files, but it's to do with the power delivery. So I understand where they're coming from when they were saying about USB-C caused some problems, and they admitted that to me. And basically what they said, or what they think the problem was, is these cables will deliver, I think they said up to 60 watts of power, which is also why I like it for charging my phone. I will say that purchase-wise, I wouldn't have spent this much on a phone charger. I want to say these are like £80 cables. Not like I'd ever spend on a phone charging cable, but you know, I wasn't gonna like throw it away because it was really useful to be able to this goes literally from one end of my room to the other, so brilliant from that, you know, side note. So what they've changed is you've now got, so this is the G10, I think I've got a G10 and a G5. The from what I've seen on the website, the G5 looks like this line, and the G5, the G10 definitely has like this bit here, so 10 gigabytes, so that's 10 gigabits of data, 10 gigabytes data per second go for it. The way they explained it to me was they said that they've removed the power from these cables, so there's no power delivery. They said there's about 1 watt, which is kind of a requirement for USB-C, but they said there's no actual power delivery. And they now have a mark, which I'm hoping is going to show up. Well, if you look there, that has a little camera, and then this side has a little computer symbol. And what that means is it tells you which side to put into what. Now, I will say, because of this extra weight here, I'm definitely making sure to use the sort of like tethering clip that came with my camera. They do sell their own, along with plates to put under to wire the, like, route the cables and stuff. So they tested this cable with me on the Saturday. They tested it with me to make sure it was working on my laptop. I didn't have Capture One installed, but I had Canon image something, because it's the Canon software that you can use for tethering, that was just still happened to be installed. I'd stopped paying for Capture One if I wasn't using it because I couldn't get it to work. And you know, it was working perfectly. And they very kindly gave me this cable free. I'm not obligated to make a video, I'm not obligated to do anything. But when a company actually stands behind their product and has given me like their personal email address to talk about any complaints or any issues, I'm really impressed. So I set this up today to do some photography that I need to do, just some like standard product photography, and it's worked perfectly in Lightroom, Capture One, and in the Canon Camera Connect. So while I know a lot of people had gone away from the Tether Tools cables and had transitioned to other brands, I think Tether Tools are back. I think they have realised the issues. But I'm really impressed with like the integrity of the company and the fact that they admitted they had problems, and they're really helpful. As far as I can tell, anything from the 10 gigabyte range is these new cables. I don't know if these are the 5 gigabyte ones. It doesn't say anything on here. It just says 30 volts, so it's 30, not 60. Tether Pro by Tether Tools, and then like a part number. So yeah, all I know is the version 2 cables, which is definitely the 10 gigabyte, possibly the 5 gigabyte, but email them to confirm, are working perfectly with my setup. So my setup is Canon R3, MacBook Pro M2 Max, and then, like I said, I've tested in Lightroom Classic, Capture One, and the Canon Camera Connect. I know that Tether Tools also makes their own tethering software, which they gave me a trial of because it came with the cable. Probably not something I'm personally going to use, just because there's already so many options and I pay for so many subscriptions anyway, that you sort of want to try and keep it down a little bit. But this has been like an overwhelmingly amazing experience of a brand, and because of that I really wanted to actually post to talk about it, because 90% of the time you're not getting that good an experience with a brand. It's like, oh, my thing doesn't work, well, tough luck. So I fully feel confident in recommending these cables. I think they are definitely worth the money. Good investment. Yeah. Have a look at the Tether website. I don't have an affiliate code. No affiliate links. My original one came from Park Cameras. I don't know if they've got the version 2 cables. I think it might be best to just like go direct from Tether Tools, and double check who their UK stockists are, because I know obviously if you're buying from the US you have to do import fees. But I am really, really impressed. So shout out to Tether Tools and the team that they had at the photography show in the UK. Absolute credit to you. Highly recommend.